And if we would, I'm going to go around the room, and I'm just looking for just one answer, but we're going to try to see if as a group we can come up with our top 10, the top 10 things as general manager you must do well. Some of you all are the general manager of your shops. Some of you have hired a general manager, but either way, or you're grooming one to take over your business one day. What are the top 10 things as general manager we must do well? And I'll start going in the order I see everybody on the screen. So, Jerry, you are up first, sir. What is
Aren't I lucky?
one of the – you're lucky, man. You're in the top left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to see you, by the way.
No, thanks. I'd say need to watch your numbers, if not daily, at least monthly.
All right. On top of the numbers, but it's a good idea to take notes. It kind of reinforces what you hear when you write it, so that makes a bigger impact on your business. And so, Andy, what's another, in your opinion, what's one of the top 10 things a general manager must do well?
I was just having this conversation with Corey yesterday because I'm trying to groom him into my general manager. And Corey is a get-it-done kind of guy. He likes to do things himself. He likes to do them right. And I said, you got 11 people out there that you're managing, or 10, I guess. I said, you can't do everything. That's why you got 10 people. So you got to always think, who can I get to do this? You got to figure out the tasks that you got to accomplish for the day. And then you figure out, who can do the task. There's certain things you got to do yourself, but you always delegate whatever you can. So I would say learning how to delegate.
Delegating. All right. I love it. Mr. Jim Rickman, what's one of the top 10 things for you that a general manager must do well?
So I'm going to just pick one off of my list, and that would be to prepare, attract, hire, and retain great people.
So that would be PAR, and that's something that we talk about at UNet Results. It's PAHR, and tell us again what that stands for, Jim.
Prepare, attract, hire, and retain.
That's of course that's a big one for staffing. So good one. Dana, a fourth one. What would you also add to this? What a general manager must do well?
I think you must have good communication skills.
Excellent, good communication skills. And then Bart, what would you like to add to our list of 10 here?
Must be a leader.
Leadership?
Yes, kind of goes with the
Okay.
delegating, just the overseeing of the whole game plan of everything, I guess.
Okay, so kind of like a vision. Is that what you mean? Like vision to oversee everything?
Yes.
Awesome. Edward, so what would be one for you that you would say that a general manager must do well?
Time management. That is huge. Okay. That has made any success I've had in life as a manager. Time management means everything. The second most important to me is to be diplomatic. I got 17 employees here, and if you can't be diplomatic and work through problems they're having in the shop, it just causes animosity between the techs. You almost got to act like a mom and a dad, Sometimes I feel like an overpaid babysitter, but it's what you got to do, and you got to keep the peace, I should say.
Yeah, man. Well said. I like both of those two. I'd have to 100% agree. Leon, are you back?
I would say working on it Tuesday is one of my top deals, just because in my particular situation, I don't get time to work on the business like I should unless I take time to do it.
Okay, I love that one. I think everybody here that's working on it on this Tuesday would agree. Jim, dive in a little bit to what Leon said in regards to working on it Tuesday for some of the folks that may have never heard that before.
Sure. Be happy to, Brian. Working on Tuesday is really stepping back from your business, because we get so caught up, like I think it was Ed that was saying, in the day-to-day operations, sometimes a glorified babysitter. You get so caught up in that if you don't step away, it's hectic. And if you've got kids at home, young families, spouse, of course you get home and you're exhausted, you put them to bed and you pass out like I did for years. My kids are older now, but to realize that you've got to step back, get on the old helicopter, fly up to 40,000 feet and take a real broad perspective on your business. What do you want to accomplish? What are you trying to do? What are your goals? And what do you need to learn? What do you need to study? What meetings do you need to go to, like we're doing now, and another one here in an hour and a half. So that's just a very, very, very introduction to working on it Tuesday.
Kind of picking out a time, you're carving out a section of your week that you can really focus more working, on your business versus in your business. When you're in the trenches and you're in the weeds, it's hard to get that helicopter view like Jim talked about. So, and it doesn't, of course, have to be Tuesday, but what we find is important is carving off time that you're focused on the business and not so deeply involved in it that you can't see, anything than what's immediately happening around you. And so that's kind of the philosophy behind that. So great add on to that. And I think that's important for a general manager, whether it's the owner or general manager, to take that perspective as well and sometimes get that big overview of the business and not necessarily involved in the key, ongoing processes that are happening immediately around. So good stuff. And then we're making a full circle here. So Jerry, could you add another one to this top 10 list? What must a GM do well? And I'll remind everybody the ones we've already mentioned. We talked about being on top of the daily numbers, delegating skills, PAR, which is prepare, attract, hire, and retain personnel. We talked about great communication skills. We talked about vision to oversee what's taking place in the shop. We talked about time management, which for me, that's one of the biggest deals in the world. A lot of the stuff that we focus on in regards to, of course, with the service advisor training that we're doing really involves how can we save time, right? Time is our friend, and it's also can be our enemy. So we want to maximize our time management. And then we talked about the one Leon left us with, which is working on a Tuesday. And then we also have being diplomatic, which is, so we've got 8 so far. And what else can we add to that, Jerry?
Okay, so differentiating from an owner, because if I was going to say owner, I'd say setting the vision. But if I'm going to say general manager, I'm going to go more with training, being able to train the systems and knowing how to write the systems and how to get buy-in on the systems. And I'd put that all under sort of a training type thing.
Teach the systems, train the systems, and not just train it, but you got to get people to come along, right? You got to get their buy-in. I love it. To round off our top 10, Andy, if you would, what'd be another top 10 thing as a general manager you must do well?
Keeping the troops motivated. You got a lot of personality out there in the shop, and right now I got a really good crew and everybody likes everybody, but when you got some bad apples out there, sometimes you kind of gotta be a referee or something, keeping those guys working as a team. And you get guys sometimes that got something going on at home or whatever, and you gotta keep them motivated and working towards a common goal. And you're just kind of like the captain of the team. I don't know what you call that exactly, but.
And it's always been, when I run stores, whenever I'm looking for a general manager in the past, that's one of the things I want to see is how well can they motivate their team, inspire their team? Do we have goals set in place? How are we going to achieve them? And you do have to have that ability to kind of give a little bit of a pep rally. Some of these shops, we have morning meetings. Some might take place multiple times during the day or even weekly. But I think that is the job of the general managers to figure out a way to motivate their team, to drive them, to want to be successful. And what does that success look like? It's kind of what we come up with as our goal, what we want to do today, and what we want to do this week, this month to make the owner, happy and why we're all in business, right? So very, very good to kind of round out that top 10